So let's talk about how to actually project an indirect rate. So you say after the conference, hey Ed, I'd like you to help us with our phase 2 cost proposal. We're going to send you this template. This template has 3 tabs: labor input screen, other cost input screen, and a rate calculation. So the resulting output is the 3rd tab. In the first tab, you've got your people. So I'm Joe, the principal investigator. I want to pay myself $100,000 a year when we get the award because I think that's a reasonable amount to pay myself. That's what the market drives. Steve, my right arm, $75,000 a year. I've got Whitney and Dave are going to help me doing some, technician type stuff, making $50,000 and $30,000 a year. And at the beginning here, I'm starting with the mentality of I have a project, I want to keep my overhead rates as low as possible because I don't know what I've got. I don't know how the peer review board's going to take my stuff. I've never proposed. I don't have a priority score. I don't have any feedback whatsoever to gauge how I'm doing. So I want to be as directly billable as possible. The payroll taxes get automatically calculated for you. And then there's 4 sections. The top section is fringe benefits. So if it weren't for having an employee, I wouldn't have workers' comp, health insurance, dental insurance, pension plans, disability insurance, and things like that. Next section down are all my indirect expenses. Legal fees, $5,000 a year, office and computer supplies, $600 a month for telephone and telecommunications equipment, $3,000 a month for rent. We've got $2,500 a month for accounting and bookkeeping, and then we've got all of our direct expenses for all of our projects, materials, consultants, subcontractors, equipment. And the 4th section down is the unallowable expenses. So in this example, I've got a 12.9% fringe rate and a 29.88% F&A rate. All right? Oh, wait a minute. That office space that we wanted, we just lost it. It's not $3,000 a month. We're going to pay $3,500 a month. And the resulting rate goes up like 1%. In fact, most of these expenses in here are not what drive your indirect rates. Let's talk about what does. Your people. So let's get real for a minute. In this scenario, we're not giving our employees any benefits other than some guys getting health insurance. So let's think for a minute. So if I want to have an employee, I'm going to have to give them 2 weeks of vacation, 10 holidays, 5 sick days, so 25 days a year. I'm going to have to pay somebody to not show up to work. That's what being a business owner means, right? So 25 days a year times 8 hours in a day is 200 hours a year. They're going to get paid to not show up to work. So there's 2,000 hours in a year, 200 of which they're not going to show up and they're going to get paid. And the business owner says to himself, well, I'd really like to develop a business. I don't want to spend all my time working in the project. I'd like to develop strategic alliances. I'd like to diversify the revenue stream. I'd like to do all sorts of things to develop the business. So I'd really like to spend 50% of my time on the project and 40% of my time developing the business. And in fact, Steve, you could be very helpful because you're an expensive guy who knows what he's doing. So I'm going to let you spend some time helping me do that kind of stuff. So you'll help write proposals and schmooze with these technical guys. The inexpensive guys are not going to help you build the business. Right? So they're going to sit back in the shop and grind work away, right? So all I didn't change. I'm still paying the same money out. And the resulting rate, I've now got a 25.47%, 25.4% fringe rate, and a 58% F&A rate. Notice I didn't spend money any differently. All I did was change the way I charged the expense, right? So what drives indirect rates are the way your expensive people charge their time. So at some point, your project has to become a business and you have to run it like a business. And the minute you go from being a garage with a couple of guys with an idea that don't know if it's going to make it or not, and it turns into a business, you've got to start running it like a business. And if you're going to run it like a business, I'd like to be able to tell you guys, without making the newspaper, what I'd like you to work on and how I'd like you to charge your time, and I'd like them to be the same. I don't want to tell you, work on this job and charge something else, because that's probably not a good idea, right? This is what we see all the time. 98.3% of all of our new clients come in dramatically underestimating what their indirect expenses are. I mean, I had a guy come in, he's doing advanced, crazy stuff. I got a 7% F&A rate. I said, that's it? I said, corporate FICA is 7.65%, right? Fortunately, his stuff was so good, we went into his customer and we went just like this. This Johnny's a good guy, huh? His technology's fascinating. Listen, he didn't know what he was doing. So he hired us and we're gonna fix it. That's what we did. We went back to his customer and we said, look it, this, he can't exist. He's never gonna solve your problem if he goes out of business, right? So he's hired somebody that actually knows what they're doing, and now we're gonna fix it. It really helps if you have something that they want for me to do that. It's really hard when you have a pile of like who knows what, and you want me to go in and negotiate. Yeah, what was your priority score? 15? Nice. 15, I go in there and I kick some butt.